Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Delivered Social podcast. I am thrilled to have Kobbii in the studio today. Kobbii, I'm going to leave you to give your introduction. Who are you and why are you here?
Kobbii Nyarko. I run a plant-based kitchen called Raw Fusion in Portsmouth, and also I have a property networking event called Portsmouth Property Connect in Portsmouth that I run. I guess I've been busy over the past year and a bit, and obviously I've met up with you a few times at different events and that sort of stuff. We've always had good conversations, so I guess that's what brings me here today.
Amazing. Okay, so I'd really want to start off your sort of background and what brought you to Portsmouth. We're in a university building today.
Yep.
You have quite a strong connection with the University of Portsmouth, so yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
So let's say 2010, I first came to Portsmouth quite a while ago now. So I was studying sports science at university, and stayed here for a number of years doing that. At the same time, whilst I was studying for my undergrad, I worked for the sport and rec department at the university. So I more or less did that side by side throughout the whole time I was here.
Okay.
I did a master's as well in sports psychology, and I actually took on more of a full-time role at sport and rec, but I was doing that side by side, which was an experience. And then after I finished the masters, I stayed for, I want to say, a year or two, a year and a half, just working at the sport and rec department, getting a few qualifications under my belt, more experience. So I was more in the field of being like a fitness instructor, PT, that sort of stuff. And then, that's how I really got to, I guess, sort of build the foundation of my connections in Portsmouth and get to understand people here and understand the city a little bit more. London, coming from London, it's a bit of a jungle.
Okay.
So,
Whereabouts in London?
So I was born in Hammersmith, was then raised a little bit in Acton in West London, but then officially we moved to Thornton Heath in South London.
Okay.
And then, that's where I've been since I was like 8 years old. So, it's a bit of a jungle. It's definitely a different vibe to what happens here in Portsmouth, and I found Portsmouth to be quite laid back. You can sort of be in your thoughts a little bit more.
Slower pace to London.
Slower pace, 100%. And I kind of preferred it. So I think that's why I kind of stayed here, like over those summers, and I had a job and all that kind of stuff. I was sort of out of the way, so I enjoyed that. I liked it. So I guess that's what kind of kept me here over those years.
And when you decided you wanted to go to university and pursue sports science, was Portsmouth the main location you're looking at? Was there any other locations?
So initially, I was looking at Brighton.
Okay.
And I was actually I kind of made that decision already that I was going to Brighton. So we went for an open day there, me and my mum. And I think I just liked the fact that the campus and where you stay was directly next to, like, it's all within the same sort of, I don't know, vicinity, all within the same campus. It's kind of enclosed. And I didn't mind that. However, not to be disrespectful, but Eastbourne just wasn't calling me, man. It was it's not the sort of town that I think I would have been able to be comfortable in.
What was wrong with it?
You been to Eastbourne?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'll say a bit too slow.
Let's put it that way.
A bit too slow to what I was used to. I think, to be honest, the high street wasn't doing anything for me either. It just looked like quite boring, if I'm honest with you.
Okay.
Even though the student life might have been good, and a lot of the students there were saying they don't necessarily go to Brighton to go out or anything. They stay in Eastbourne. But I was just looking around the place and I thought, nah, I don't think I could stay here and then be secluded here. I'll probably end up going to London all the time.
Wow, which then sort of defeats the point. And
exactly. And at the time, I kind of wanted to get away.
Yeah.
But I kind of made a decision because it was that in Chichester as well, which is similar.
Yeah.
But then last minute, I came to Portsmouth just to come on a visit.
Had you been before?
Not since a child, maybe.
Okay.
And not in this way. And I came for one of the open days here, and I saw the facilities at the Sports Science Centre, and I thought, you know what, this looks pretty cool. I like the fact that the campus is part of the city, because then I guess that's what I kind of relate to, coming from London. just that city life. And I knew quite a few people that were here already. So because of that, I just thought, you know what, I think I'm going to change my mind. I think Brighton was like top 5 in the UK for sports science at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Portsmouth was like top 10. And I just said, nah, Portsmouth, there's something about that place. Like, and I think Gunwolf Keys, we had a proper day here, me and my mum. So all of that, I was just like, yeah, you know what, I think I want to go there.
So it sounds like you really found a home away from home.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I'll say Portsmouth's sort of like my safe haven to a degree. Yeah, sure.
Do you go back to London often, or
now? Not really. I'm too busy, man.
I know you're very busy. We're definitely going to get into that in a sec.
Yeah.
Okay, so University of Portsmouth, loving life. You spoke about things to do. So you obviously came here as a student, as many students come here. They go for that. They come here with their parents, do opening days, and just to get a vibe for the city. In those years since you've been here, what have you seen maybe change or evolve in the city?
Wow, that's a good question, man. Because all right, I'll give this example. So we'll probably get onto this later. But in 2018, I went back to London, and then around COVID time, I came to visit my partner in Portsmouth. Because she had been telling me for a while, like, Portsmouth's changed, you know, it's not like what it used to be. I was like, yeah, you sure? She's like, yeah, it's changed. I didn't really listen to it, but I came down, I remember being on the seafront and seeing so many people, and it was more diverse. There were loads of different races, I'm guessing, and all that kind of stuff, and I was thinking, wow, like, maybe it has changed. The university buildings that have gone up in the city centre now, that obviously makes the place look different. The high street as well, when you go on the high street, it kind of reminded me of home a little bit. It kind of reminded me a bit of Croydon when I went back and I'm just looking, I'm thinking it wasn't like this before. Before it was, you know, your standard city outside of London that's, you know, a bit quieter and there's not too much going on. But now I can definitely say there's a big difference. A lot more buildings going up, a lot more initiatives happening here as well. And yeah, I think the diversity is growing. That's one thing that I'll definitely say in Portsmouth, which is, for me, I think is a great thing to see. So yeah, I think they're sort of like the main things that I've seen change.
Amazing. Okay, so let's get into it then. So let's talk about property first. Where did that come from? So how did you go from sports science to property?
All right, so 2020 happened, first of all. Everyone's got their story for 2020. But that happened, and with the gyms sort of being out of action and closing, I wasn't necessarily in work at the time. And my partner was very interested in property, something she had always been talking about. I think me and her kind of like, we're kind of like natural born hustlers. We've just always had a thing for looking at something, seeing a value in it, and how can we kind of spread it to everyone, to the masses kind of thing. Her thing was property at the time, that she was focused on. So it was one of those down in the dumps days in Portsmouth. In London, I should say. I was quite low. And she just said, look, I booked us onto this property course. It was only £1. And I was like, yeah, if it's £1, why am I going? And she was like, no, seriously, we're going. Like, come down and we'll go to it. It was in the Village Hotel. So we went, and I guess it's because of, at the time, I might have been naive, and I didn't really understand property at the time. But I can sort of take concepts, understand it quite quickly, and regurgitate it, maybe from my education. So when this guy was sort of like delivering his content, I was just like, wow, this is mind-blowing. Is this how easy property is? He's making it sound easy anyway. That's what he has to do, I guess. So from there, we decided to do more courses, and we paid real money for that, not £1. We decided to do more courses, and I think 2021 summer, we just spent the summer traveling to different cities in the UK, looking at property, acting as if we're investors and we're going into estate agents and we want to invest in property and this, that, and the third.
Was that more just to get an inkling of what the market was like? Was that just to get a bit of experience? What was the purpose of doing that for you?
First of all, we wanted to do something together, us, me and her. And obviously there was no flying out the country or anything like that. But at the same time, I think I was in a predicament where I said to myself, look, I don't want to do anything. If I'm doing something, I have to do it with purpose. So, yep, it was to get experience, to understand the market a little bit more, and to build up confidence in speaking to people like estate agents who, you know, sometimes it can be quite daunting going into an estate agent talking about property that's £200,000, £500,000, £650,000. It can be quite intimidating when you've never had that conversation before. So, yeah, we went places far where people didn't know us, and sort of, decided to kind of put into practice what we had learnt, and put some deals together and that sort of stuff. So that's how we really got started. And then eventually we got to a point where we said to each other, look, we need to find a place that we can move to and secure ourselves.
Yeah.
I wanted to get out of London. She's from Portsmouth. And with everything that happened with the gym, university, all the contacts already had, I just thought, you know what, Portsmouth makes sense. If we can find a nice place, a decent place to live there, then fair enough. And when I was in Portsmouth as a student, I was always in Fratton.
Yeah.
And being from Fort Leaf, Croydon, that's normal to me. You know? It's normal to be in Fratton. Rarely went to the seafront. But this time I said, nah, man, we have to be in Southsea. We have to be by the seafront because I'm not going back to that student.
That lifestyle,
That lifestyle, I'm not doing that. So luckily we were able to find a place there. And then from there, we just started meeting different people who had been on the same property courses we had been on.
Okay.
In Portsmouth. And then, we just came up with the idea. Let's start a property networking event, and it's just been going on since then.
Yeah,
sort of
I mean the property network down here is huge. Construction is our biggest contributor to the economy in Portsmouth, so it's massive here. I think every road you go down, there's something happening, there's something going on. When did you decide, I don't want to attend these property networking events, I want to do my own? How did that come about?
I think so. We moved November 2021. We started the event January 2022. So we didn't even give ourselves time to do any research really on what else was going on. We were speaking to people and asking them, do you know of any like property networking events? We have been to a few in London, and I think this is another reason as well, because in London, it's salesy. Like if I'm sitting in front, if me and you meet at a networking event, we're trying to get to know each other and understand business a little bit more. But instead, it's like, no, I'm trying to sell something to you. You're trying to sell something to me.
Yeah, it's a lot more forced in those environments, isn't it? Yeah.
And we wanted to cut that out. So maybe at the time, I kind of thought that every networking event was like that. And I just wanted to do something different. Maybe that might have been where my head was at the time. But at the same time, I didn't know of any other networking events going on. As we started, though, that's when the others sort of opened up, and then they all came into our view, and then we kind of saw what was going on.
Yeah. Okay, so I must say you are naturally good at networking. So did you look at those networking events that you've been to? Obviously, there was things that you knew, I don't like those things. Was there things that you looked at and thought, that's what I need to be doing, or that's how I need to be running network events? Was there any particular events you looked at for, I like the format, or I like the way they do this, I'm going to take that forward onto mine?
Nah.
Just winged it.
I literally just winged it. You know what? I did a test the other day that was sort of sorry to go off a little bit, but it was sort of a test to see where my motivation comes from. Like what environment do I need to be in order to be motivated? And I kept leaning towards the answers that were saying things like, you don't want to be part of the crowd. You want to do your own thing. If everyone's going in one direction, you're going in the opposite direction. I was leaning more towards those kind of answers. And it came back with an answer saying that, yeah, you are motivated by and thrive in situations that is essentially madness.
Yeah.
It has to be crazy around you in order for you to thrive, because you're going against the status quo all the time. That's the answers I was sort of given. So I guess maybe I've got a better judgment of the environment and surroundings. When we started the event, my thing was I just want to be in a nice place that when people come there, they feel like, you know, they're in a nice sort of surrounding. it's quite laid back because I guess that's how I am. But at the same time, it still remains professional. So at the start, I wasn't even doing any speaking or anything like that. It was just come in, speak to people in the room. If I'm around and I feel like there's someone that you can speak to,
Yeah.
then I'll try and link you guys up and that sort of stuff. But it was very, very casual at the beginning. And then as time went on, that's when I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to start bringing a bit more value to this if this is going to work. And then, yeah, again, I kind of just winged it. I went with it, started speaking about certain things. And I thought, these networking events do great when we're having a group conversation. So why not just try and, yeah, it's informal, but make it a group conversation, and then let other people show their value through the answers to the questions that I'm bringing up. So that's how it kind of started, and we've grown that, and yeah, that's how it's been.
Final thing on property, because we've got a lot to cover, because you do so much. You run around all over the place. I thought I was bad, but you go everywhere.
You're on another level, man.
Final thing on property, for anybody who's watching and wants to get involved, how do they get involved? Where is it held? How often are these networking events?
So the networking event is at the Queen's Hotel every 4th Tuesday of the month. If you type in on Eventbrite Portsmouth Property Connect, that's where you can sort of like log on and book on and everything from there. Maybe I'm guessing if we're able to put like my socials on and that sort of stuff, people can always get in touch with me, and I'll be able to give you more information regarding that as well. And to be honest, it's for anyone who's in the property industry that's just looking to make more connections, maybe wants to find out particular pieces of information, value, that sort of stuff. You want to meet like-minded people. Yeah, that's what it's really about. We've got a variety of people there. We've got estate agents, letting agents, builders, surveyors, architects, all the like people who do rent to rent, deal sources, that sort of thing as well. We have in the room. So there's a variety of people in the room. It's not salesy. We're just trying to get to know people who basically front the business that they either represent or run themselves. And it's getting to know people, so it's easier to sort of like pick up the phone and make that phone call if you needed to. So yeah, that's what we do.
Amazing. Okay, because you're clearly not busy enough, you've then also got Raw Fusion. So tell me about Raw Fusion. What is it? What is Raw Fusion?
So again, in 2020, there were times I probably wanted to eat out. You know, I don't know if they did it here. Maybe I don't know whether it was nationwide, but there was this initiative where they were doing for takeaways or places where you can go and eat during 2020 at one point, or 2021.
Was it the Eat Out to Help Out?
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie, that caused me to go out and eat out quite a bit. Yep. But I found myself going to different places trying the one vegan or plant-based thing that they had on their menu, and just having that. And it sort of clicked in my mind that we don't really have many plant-based places where people can go to, and it's just purely plant-based. And it's good food as well, not plant-based or vegan in the sense where you're changing vegetables or fruit to taste meaty or anything like that. I kind of wanted to get away from that and strictly focus on the health of people. So it was around then that I said to myself, once I'm set up and I'm in a place where I can start doing this, I'm gonna run this thing, this plant-based kitchen. When we came down here, I gave it a few months first just to settle in, and then what we started doing was cooking food. On Fridays and Saturdays, I would sort of like push out on Instagram and then just let people know, look, I'm delivering this food. If anyone's interested in making a delivery, send a message via DM on Instagram and I'll come and deliver it to you. And then as I started going to networking events and I was letting people know what I was doing, I got a few people on board, and that was going really well. My son came in October, kind of threw everything out the window. And then we thought we'd start again in January. with kind of on a fresh start. So we're mainly doing like events and pop-ups and that sort of stuff. Obviously it's summertime now, so we're trying to get into quite a few. But eventually we want to go back into delivering food. We're thinking of going down the meal prep route.
Which is quite popular right now. It seems to be the trending way to do it. Is
100%. And with us, the food stays fresh in that sense as well. I kind of want to make the experience as easy as possible as well, and as simple as possible. I don't want it to be too messy. And like I've just said to you, I'll always go the opposite direction to where everybody else is going.
Yeah.
So where the food needs to stay fresh, I'm just trying to think of ways where we can sort of sell the food, but in a way where it's convenient for us, but it's also convenient for the customer as well. So yeah, we are definitely doing things differently. And with time, things will definitely start to show.
Okay. So Raw Fusion, it's plant-based vegan food. You weren't always vegan though. So how did that happen? Was it something to do with the sports science side of what you were doing? How did that transition happen?
So that one, What the Health? Do you remember that on Netflix?
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
So I think that amongst me having my knowledge of sports, like sports nutrition and all that kind of stuff, but I saw that documentary and it made me start actually thinking. So from there, what I started doing was I would only eat meat and dairy and all that kind of stuff on the weekend.
Okay.
And during the week, I would just try and cook my own food and keep it all plant-based. And I saw a big difference. It was actually really good. And then, and I'm gonna call them out because I don't care. Nando's in Shepherd's Bush in Westfield. I went there one night, and I was drinking that night as well. I don't drink anymore, but I was drinking that night as well. And the chicken didn't taste right. And then throughout the whole night, I'm not one to really be drunk and be messy. You know,
yeah.
It was a messy one that night, but I wasn't at that level. But I was being sick. Things were coming from here, there, and everywhere. Let's say, and I never had that feeling before. And I realized eventually that I had food poisoning from the Nando's. So yeah, that right there was the defining point.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm not doing this stuff anymore. I've watched too much stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's the final nail in the coffin, isn't it? Yeah, wow, okay.
And I'm not one to really get sick. I hate being sick. So yeah, that put me out for like 2 or 3 days. I said, nah, never again. I'm not going through that. So that's what really made me say, you know what, forget meat. I'm just gonna put that aside. Maybe on really, really special occasions. And I was doing that at one point, like Christmas time with the family, or when I go to Ghana and I see my family. But
how easy is that, going to Ghana, being plant-based?
Oh, mate, you don't understand. That's too hard.
You just give up at that point.
Yeah, it was too hard. If anything, I was just mainly sticking to fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
And that's it. But I couldn't enjoy, the actual delicacies of the country, if you want to put it that way. So it was challenging. However, they are becoming more conscious and aware to it, and there are some things that are starting to come out there, especially where they got a lot of tourists going to Ghana now. There are quite a few initiatives that are coming out there. But so from there I just said, nah, no more. I'm just going to stick to this. And then I think I just started seeing the benefits in my health in general. My eczema, I had eczema all my life. I don't get any of it anymore. My nose has always been clogged up and that sort of stuff. I don't get that anymore. I was just seeing certain health benefits and how I was feeling. And then, I just thought, I think I'm just going to stay on this journey and push with it.
And you've done that for 3 years now then?
What's that?
The veganism.
Nah, I want to say that event, that life-changing event happened in 2016.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Either 2015 or 2016. Yeah, so it happened quite a while ago.
Okay, wow, okay. And that really did, I mean, that set a course of action for sure. Okay. Yeah, if that didn't happen, would Raw Fusion have had happened?
That's a good question. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Where did the passion for cooking come from? Because to do that, and do it properly, you have to have a passion for it. You have to want to do it. So where did that come from? Was that family? Was it back home? What was
I'll
it?
definitely say family. My mum, I have to give credit to my mum. It's her birthday today as well. Shout out, mum.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, mum. She's that auntie in the family that everyone raves about her food. Her food's good.
Yeah.
I don't really want to brag. I'm just telling the truth. My mum's food is good. So my mum, from a young age, was teaching me things like how to make eggs in the morning, how to fry eggs, how to make pancakes, which that's my speciality. I'm really good at that. So my mum was teaching me certain things from a young age, and I actually started cooking my own food. So by the time I came to uni, I knew how to cook.
Which is quite rare for students,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I guess so. I had to realise that when I got here. I thought it was weird that nobody else knew how to cook, but yeah, my mum, I have to give it to her, man. She taught me well, and she only taught me because she was like, I would say, "Mum, can I have this?" And she'd be like, I can't be bothered. Yeah, I'm gonna teach you how to make it, so you don't bother me anymore. So yeah, and I think just off that, it's funny. I see it in my son now as well. When food's put on the table, he's all over it. His eyes are wide open. He wants to put his face in it. And I think we've just always had that natural thing for food. We just enjoy it. So the fact that my mum gave me the tools for me to cook myself, it's all good. And then when I realised that I don't have to cook with meat anymore, so I don't have to wash the meat, I don't have to season it, I don't have to do anything like that. It can just be done very quickly.
You can do it. There's no so much prep, is there? Yeah.
Nah, it's just cutting up the vegetables, if anything. That's the only prep, and then washing it. But you get to it, and within an hour, the meal's done. So I think as I was doing that more and more, and staying by myself more and more, having to cook more and more, naturally, I think it just became a thing to do. So yeah,
okay,
that's how it kind of works.
Right, you touched upon about becoming a father last October.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
How has that changed in terms of not just work, but your work-life balance? Because you do a lot. So how do you fit it all in? Do you fit it in? Do you sleep? What? How do you do it? Is there any advice for anyone out there who is really struggling to juggle everything?
My advice is, and I got this advice, the first bit, I got this advice from somebody else who's in a similar situation to me. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't do that, because if you do that, you're only going to crumble. When you need to take a rest, take a rest. That's number one. The other thing I'll say is use every single hour, minute, whatever it is of your day to the best that you can. So at the moment, my son probably wakes up at like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. So if I can, there's times I might wake up a little bit earlier than him, and then I'll just disappear for, if my missus allows me, for 5 to 6 hours and just get work done. I'm just focused. I'm in the zone. I'm trying to get it done. So 5, 6 hours, we're talking, what, if I'm up at 4 o'clock, that's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Sometimes I'll go to 12. Nowadays, I think I see 12 o'clock as a time to say, yeah, okay.
That's your cut off.
That's it. I'm done at the computer. I've done all my emails. I've done all the work I need to do. 12 o'clock, that's it. Get away from the computer. And then the rest of the day, up until, let's say, well, actually, no, let me not even say it that way. From 12 till maybe 4, if I've got meetings that I want to schedule in, then I'll probably try and get those meetings in then. I can do it earlier as well, but I'll try and get those meetings in then. And then I've got the rest of the day up until 10, 11 when I go back to sleep to just be with my family. And again, I'm pretty laid back. I don't like to put too much pressure on myself. So if there's a day where I know I've got a lot on, and I don't know, it might even be several days in a row, then I know, okay, it's Thursday today, but I don't care if it's during the week. I need to take some time out for myself. Let me just chill out, switch everything off. Yeah. I'm just even if I just go to the seafront for a bit and just chill out, I'll do that. And then Friday, come back, finish the week off, and then weekend I'll try and give that to my family as well. So I think it just comes down to using every minute, hour of your day very efficiently.
Yeah.
And taking time for yourself as well, because if you don't do that, you'll lose yourself. So you have to really trust your gut instinct and just go with what works.
I mean, that sounds, the way you plan it sounds amazing. Did you know you were going to do that, or what was the switch that made you go, I need to change what I'm doing?
When they came home from the hospital.
Yeah.
When they came home from the hospital, it was I had still, things to do at certain times, and I just realized, like, no, I can't do that anymore. I can't go to that meeting anymore at 9 o'clock. It just doesn't work. I won't be able to get enough work done. I won't be able to do this. I won't be able to do that. One thing I'll say about myself is I'm not resistant to change at all. So
Okay.
if a situation needs to change, I'll change it. I'll try not to be too rigid. I feel like life is full of ups and downs, and you kind of need to go with the flow. So there might even be things that I've had to stop doing, and at the time I was thinking, I really don't want to stop this. But in hindsight, I had to, and it's kind of worked well for me. So yeah, I can say, I try and say this to people, but don't be resistant to change. If a change is coming upon you and you can see it, just go with it, man. Have faith and go with it, and eventually you'll see why things had to change.
No, I think that's really good advice, and it sounds like when you do make those changes, you actually think about it. You don't just make it. You know why you're making those changes.
Yeah, sure.
So, talking about changes and balance, and having the faith, I'm now going to talk about Arsenal. You
Yes.
are a big Arsenal fan.
Yes.
Since childhood?
Since childhood, since I saw Ian Wright win the FA Cup. I've forgotten what year that was, but I want to say it was his first year when he came from Palace. I think it was his first season at Arsenal when he came from Palace. Or did he come in January? But I can't remember. But I just remember him lifting the FA Cup, seeing him play, and he scored. I think he scored in the FA Cup as well. And I saw that anyway, and I said, yeah, that's my team. Worst thing about it, my dad's a Tottenham fan.
My dad's a Tottenham fan.
Oh, really?
So I was gonna go, Dad, can you lend me a Tottenham top? But I thought, you know what, I can't walk down Guildhall Walk with a Tottenham top. I'd rather wear a Southampton top. Like, they just, yeah.
Yeah, man. Oh,
that must be interesting. What's that like? Do you watch football together?
We do. My dad, we're very similar. We try not to take it too serious. We don't argue or anything like that. I banter him a lot. I have to.
Yeah.
Because that team, man. But me and my dad together, before the teams that we support, we're both fans of football, regardless.
Yeah.
So if Tottenham was a good team, I'll give them their props. I'll give it to them. But right now, I can only shout for Harry Kane and Son. Maybe I'll give them that.
Even Son didn't have a great season.
He didn't have a great season.
No.
But he's still a quality player. In my eyes.
Still top class player.
But I'm a fan of football first. So. Yeah, me and my dad, we get on when the football's on. We're still cool.
It's friendly. It's friendly.
It's friendly. It's
Okay.
definitely friendly. Yeah.
So we have to talk about their season last season. So top of the league for so long,
Yeah.
and then it went.
Mm-hmm.
What do they need to change next season?
Depth, man. We need depth. I wasn't too happy with we scored a good enough amount of goals, but the goals were coming from all over the pitch. My thing is, we need that dominant striker. We haven't had it for years now, but we need that dominant striker. I mean, Aubameyang was thereabouts, but the system just didn't work for him, I think. But we need a striker that is hitting those 30, no, I'm exaggerating there, but maybe 20 goals a season at least.
Consistently getting those goals.
20 goals a season. We need that Dennis Bergkamp back. That's what we need. We need that striker. So for me, it's that, but at the same time, I think we need depth in all areas because that's what Man City have got and that's what we're competing with. That's an incredible team.
I mean, Manchester City's depth is just ridiculous. I mean, their second and third team could easily get top four without even trying. It's hard. But I think, Arsenal were phenomenal. The football they were playing last season was brilliant. And especially from where they were, a lot of people calling for Arteta to be sacked. To then, and like we're saying, keeping the faith, sticking by him. Yeah. Look, there wasn't a trophy, but the progress was phenomenal.
Amazing. And that was my thing from early last season, early this season just gone. that's the thing that I was most excited about was the football. I was just looking at the football. I was thinking, wow, like you've actually got me on the edge of my seat. For years, I've had to sit as an Arsenal fan and be worried. You know, when the opposition's attacking, my heart's kind of sinking. But now I'm on the edge of my seat, like, go on. Like, I haven't had that in years. So to see that now, the football's just amazing. So saying that, I feel like Man City deserve to win. Let's put it that way. I'll give it to them because it's an incredible team. And the way they finished the season, you got to give it to them. They didn't lose.
Yeah.
They didn't lose a game. They're formidable. So I have to give it to them. But yeah, let's just see if we can build and improve on that. And I think if we do, there's no doubt we're going to be successful.
Yep. And I think the way to put it is you lost the title to a team that's literally won the treble. So
towards the end of the season, I say when Man City won the Premier League, when it was official, that's when I said, all right, for the rest of the season, I'm supporting them to win everything. Because if they don't win everything, then everyone's going to try and, you bowled it and this and that. But now they won everything. You can see clearly we were matching that standard. Yeah, that's a level that every other team needs to
chasing.
Match. Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's all good.
Final sort of couple of things then. What piece of advice would you give to a student who's looking at places to go? How do they make that decision in what location to go to?
I would say do your research into the university and what they offer. It's not just about what they do on the course. It's about your experience as a student as well. I think that's very important. You don't want to come to uni and be bored, and you might have certain values, morals about yourself that you want to see something that you can align to when you go to a university. So, I would say do your research and go to open days. I would always say, if I didn't go to open days, then I wouldn't have made that decision to come to Portsmouth. I probably would have gone to Brighton because it was easy to go to. So I needed to come to that open day in Portsmouth for me to realize that this is the place that I wanted to come to. So I would always recommend that. Just do your research, do your due diligence.
Okay. On sort of open days and networking and everything like that, what piece of advice would you have for people who have never been to a networking event before, and this is any, what piece of advice would you say when they go into that room? How should they be? Because a lot of people are nervous about networking.
Yeah. Don't think too much. Thinking is just going to leave you in your head. You're not going to get anywhere. Don't think too much. As long as you're respectful, and when you go to a networking event, don't think about yourself either. Think about others in the room. Find out a little bit more about what the person in front of you is doing, where they're sort of like coming from, and just get a bit more of an understanding of what they're looking for. Because you never know what you could do for them or who you know that might be able to help this person as well, or other people that you might meet later on. So yeah, don't think too much and just know you're dealing with people. So just act accordingly.
Okay. Yeah. Final thing, I just want to say a massive thank you to you, because I reckon out of the 10 to 15 social clinics I get booked in a month, I reckon at least half are because Kobbii has recommended me, and they are literally from you. So massive thank you from me and Deliver Social as well. You experienced a social clinic, and you are just prolific at recommending them. What was it that resonated with the social clinic for you? Why was it so good for you?
I think it's the time that you guys took, well, you yourself took with me, to actually sit down, look at everything that I was doing on social media, and I would say I'm coachable, so I don't mind you ripping me to shreds and telling me what I'm doing wrong. I think that sort of that approach is needed in order for you to improve. So yeah, social media as well. I think a lot of people, I still even say majority of people, underrate social media and what you can really do with it and get from it. Yeah. So I found an immense amount of value just going to that one social clinic with yourself. So where there's so many people that underrate it, where you've got this service that I don't think anybody else is really providing, it only makes sense to recommend people. When I speak to people and they might be looking for leads, or they might want to show their business off in a certain way, but they don't know how to do it. They're doing this on Instagram, but it doesn't seem to be working. I'm not going to give you the advice because I'm not a professional that works with social media. I've been coached or been told by certain people, this is what you do. But instead of me doing the talking, why don't I just introduce you to the person who showed me? So that's all that's probably my reason for that. I want to be able to provide value, but also spread value amongst the people that I'm connecting with. So yeah, that's the reason.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Kobbii, it's been great having you, mate. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Loads of great tips there for people who are either looking at networking, looking to their own nutritional needs, looking at Raw Fusion. What is the aim for this time next year for any of those businesses?
Whoa, next year, nothing but growth. And growth. I want to say with the property networking event, I want to, I've got some things in the pipeline that we're working on. So we just want to get that a little bit more popular, and there's certain people that I want to work with and bring on board, to kind of spread that out a little bit more. And with Raw Fusion, I do want to get an establishment, definitely, but it has to be the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't say too much, but artificial intelligence is here. It's here to stay. And I feel like whether you want to say the catering or the food sort of industry can really do with a mix-up in order to serve customers the right way. There's so many complications and that sort of stuff that's behind customer service on its own that artificial intelligence will come in and solve with no problem. So I'll probably leave that there and say we definitely want an establishment, but it has to be done right.
Okay. Anyone that wants to get in contact with you, what's the best way?
Several ways. With Raw Fusion, it's raw_fusion on Instagram. Hudson and Hasle Property on Instagram as well, for everything that we're doing regarding property and the property networking event. My personal is L_Cobb, L_Cobb, so like El Chapo.
Yeah.
L_Cobb, only because my name is a very popular name, so I wanted to make it seem like there's only one.
Yep.
Yeah. So L_Cobb, EL_KOB. And then even if you just Google my name, Kobbii Nyarko on, if you were to Google it, my LinkedIn profile will probably come up if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to connect and speak to people. I'm all about networking at the moment. So yeah, feel free to get in touch. I'll do my very best to get back to people and link up.
Between 4 and 12?
Whenever. I'll get back to you when I can.
At 4 a.m. you'd be like, hi.
4 a.m. I mean, I found that a little bit weird that you're up at 4 a.m. same time as me. But saying that, when I do message you at those, send you those emails at that time in the morning, like 30 minutes later, an hour later, you sent me a message straight back.
Yeah, so. I'm pretty bad. So I get up and I just gonna answer it because I think if I do this, by the time I get in the office, I start like normal. Okay. So our day starts at 8 o'clock. I do most of my bits between 6:30 and 8.
Okay.
So I get myself to a point where I'm ready now. So I clear everything from the day before. I try not to work in the evenings and weekends anymore.
Yeah.
I do sometimes go in, but I try purposely not to. So that little morning period for me where nobody else is in the office, no one can potentially bother me. It's my hour and a half where I can get quite a lot done. So I understand. Anyway, Kobbii, it's been great having you, mate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And all the best.
Yeah, you too.